everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, it's great seeing all of you today. It's great seeing so many people in person. My name is Stephanie Hamann. I'm a digital strategist with DDC Public Affairs, and we've worked with NRMCA now for about, I think even over 10 years now. And really, my team's main goal is to make sure that builders know that when they choose a building material, they need to be choosing concrete. And so we have seen so many robust marketing initiatives throughout this weekend, and without so many companies, working so hard on their marketing initiatives. And really where Build with Strength comes in is we act as a megaphone for the concrete industry as a whole. We educate the key stakeholders on why they need to be using concrete to build their resilient communities. And social media is such a key part of how we make that happen. First, a little bit about our social media strategy. We run both organic content across all of our social media accounts like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we also run paid media. So we also run advertising on social media, and it's a great way for us to reach our key stakeholder audiences that I'll go into in a second. But once again, social media has just been instrumental for us being able to reach these audiences and connect with them, because Build with Strength really seeks to educate them. We really have such an education-focused objective because once again, we want to ensure that the decision makers know that they need to be building with concrete. And so who do we reach? Who are these key stakeholders? First, we have the industry decision makers. These are the professionals, the leaders in concrete construction, also in architecture, as well as in engineering. And they're really making the purchase decisions, and they are the ones who are choosing the material that they should be building with. They're choosing the designs, and they're just overall very instrumental to the future of the industry. We also target young industry members. These are the decision makers in a few years' time. So it's very important that we educate them now on why they need to be building with concrete. And we also reach the industry influencers. These are people who are in academia, they're also in the media, they have platforms of their own, and so they're very key for influencing the overall tone and perceptions around concrete as a material. So it's incredibly important that we're able to educate them on concrete. We also want to reach people who are professionals in insurance, who are so instrumental for determining cost and assessing risk as well. And we see this be particularly important when it comes to resilience. Resilience is top of mind for builders always, but especially right now in the face of severe weather that we've seen. They are just a key audience that we need to be able to reach. And social media is one way that we do that. And we also have the capability to target policymakers, the ones who are so involved in building codes, who establish community safety initiatives, and once again need to know that communities and strong communities must be built using concrete. So one tip for you all, no matter how robust or how new your social media strategy is, and it's very simple, is just to keep in mind who your target audience is. Who are you talking to? You need to keep in mind who are you talking to and what do you want them to know. It sounds so simple, so straightforward, but it will still make a big difference in your content strategy. It will just streamline how you think about social media, how you use social media. It makes developing content easier to just start by asking yourself those couple of questions. Who do you want to reach and who's your audience? But also, what do you want them to know when you post? We also at Build with Strength really use social media as a problem-solving tool. So we use it to address some key challenges that the entire industry faces. And there are a couple of examples here, and I'll get into some examples of posts that we've used on social media. But first, as I mentioned, resilience is top of mind really at all times for everybody in the building industry, and especially now with severe weather. And so, one issue that we see is just wanting to make sure that the stakeholders understand that when they're thinking about how to build their communities safely, they need to be using concrete. And on a more granular level too, how do the insurance professionals know the cost savings and the safety of concrete as a material too? And then moving to sustainability, there are still misconceptions around the sustainability of concrete as a material. And so how can we really correct that? How can we talk about all of the great work that members are doing when it comes to sustainability, carbon emissions, and just making such amazing strides when it comes to sustainability. And then lastly, workforce. When we talk about just labor shortages, needing to fill driver positions, how do we connect job seekers with job opportunities through Deliver Your Future? We use the Deliver Your Future program to really connect those two things. And so I'm going to play one example. It's a very short video, and there's no sound, so you don't need to worry about that, but I will play it and then just go into it a little bit. And so this is us, one of our ways of using social media as a problem-solving tool to address a lack of information around resilience and why builders need to be using concrete to build those resilient communities. You'll notice the audience was, that video was incredibly straightforward. It was simple, it was direct, it went into exactly which kinds of events concrete can withstand. We made it as direct and easy to understand as possible because once again, we use social media as an education tool. And so it's incredibly important to be clear with your messaging, and that's one example of how we've done that. It uses a lot of stock footage as well as some footage from a build a few years back, and so we really used the video footage that we already had access to. And one thing that you've seen throughout this weekend is just the use of video is so much at the forefront of where social media is headed, and it's a great idea to, if you don't already, use video whenever you can. And you also see to the right some other examples that just show how consistently we talk about resilience. It's again a key part of our messaging. We post about resilience on really all of our platforms. Again, this includes Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and it's such an important messaging pillar for us that we post about this consistently and often because we want our audiences, again, to be educated and to pick up this information, learn it, and retain it over time. And that brings me to a couple of takeaways that you can apply to really any strategy that you have, whether, again, it's a very robust strategy that you already have, or whether you are trying to get involved in social media and don't have as much of a presence yet as you want. The first one, again, is to make use of video. We've seen, again, so many great examples of how members use video in such a creative way. And so you have so much leeway and creativity to work with when you use video. And it's such a great opportunity to get engagement on your posts as well. And then also just from the perspective of somebody who's worked in social media a lot, that is the direction that the industry is moving in. If you remember Instagram from a few years ago, there weren't all that many videos. It was mostly still images. And now when you open the app, you are going to watch a reel, whether you tried to or not. It is, video is just the way that these social media platforms are going. It is really being prioritized. And so it's just a great way to keep up with, again, the way that these platforms are moving, the content that they're prioritizing. That way you can get in front of the eyes that you want. And then secondly, it's good to let the news influence your content whenever that happens and whenever that's applicable. Again, resilience is very top of mind for us. Whenever there are severe weather events, we keep that in mind with just our tone of what do we post about, when do we post about it, the timing, and when there's news in your own communities that might be applicable to your company. Keep that in mind, let that guide your strategy to an extent, and don't hesitate to share it on your own social media channels and really act as a bit of a thought leader and really just amplify it, share what the connection is between it and your company and how those are interlinked. And so that's another good strategy for you. And then lastly, just being consistent with what you post. You don't need to worry too much about being too repetitive when it comes to, really showing what your key messages are. Don't feel like because you mentioned a key message once, you need to move on to something else entirely. It's great to be consistent with your message, post many times, be creative with how you say what you need to get across, but It's important enough that people need to learn it, and they need to be exposed enough and be able to retain it and be able to retain that information. So don't worry too much about being repetitive. And then I'll play another short video and talk about it. So this was a short video that once again was really inspired by news, especially around the mass timber industry. In 2023, the World Resources Institute came out with a study that really showed that that industry had been undercounting emissions. And so it was really important for us, again, as a megaphone for the concrete industry, but also as an educational influence to make sure that builders understood that mass timber wasn't as sustainable as previously thought. And so it was important for us to get that across. And so we used another very clear, very direct, very concise video to really get that across. And so that's been another way that we have discussed sustainability on our channels, but we also use social media as a way to amplify the wins and celebrate the wins of member companies. We really use LinkedIn a lot for this. It's a very simple move to just reshare what a member company has done, share it, congratulate them, get involved, react, like it. And again, it just really is a way for the entire industry to celebrate each other's wins, each other's successes as well. And so we've done this about every week. We will do a member reshare on LinkedIn, and that's been a very consistent part of our content strategy for a long time for Build with Strength. And another just very simple thing that you can incorporate into your strategies is that amplification of your peers, whether it is a company that you work with, one of your, even an employee, if they share something about, how much they enjoy being a part of your projects, it's great to just amplify that on social media and bring additional visibility to your company, to your community, to your employees. And just from a tactical perspective as well, it's a very easy thing to do if, say, you had a post planned and you no longer can post it and you are trying to get a quick fix for something that you want to post today. It's a great opportunity to just look at your LinkedIn feed, see what other people are posting, see what is applicable to you, take the opportunity to share or congratulate them on social media, and it also just inspires a lot of goodwill and is a good way to show that your company is aware of what's going on in their community. You're good stewards and good peers with your member companies, and you're the people that you collaborate as well. So it's another thing that you can do as part of your strategy. And then connecting job seekers with job opportunities through Deliver Your Future. This is a relatively newer program, and already we have over 3,000 followers, which is wonderful. And we've really leveraged social media to just establish the brand voice. For Deliver Your Future, we really want it to be clear to job seekers that they need to be using Deliver Your Future as a way to connect with member companies for career opportunities in mixer driving. And so we consistently discuss that across all of our socials. The post that is second from the left includes a little bit of a snippet from a driver. She's discussing what about her job is so fulfilling, and it is so great to be able to include the perspective of employees, as we've seen throughout this weekend in so many examples. It's just such a great way to build your voice on social media, and we try to do that with Deliver Your Future. You'll also notice a few examples of search ads, and this has been a great way for us to just really amplify Deliver Your Future. It's a wonderful way to drive additional traffic to your website, especially if you have a web traffic objective. Like, you might be trying to drive people to your company's website on social media. One way to supplement that is to run search ads. And so if you don't already, I highly recommend that you do so. It's very simple. It's relatively low cost. Some people think that paid media always has to cost a lot. This does not really have to cost very much. It's very simple to create some ads using headlines, brief descriptions, and also keywords to help you specify who you want to reach. So if you want to reach, concrete companies, if you want to reach people searching for concrete companies in Colorado, you can specify that. You can really just specify who you want to get in front of with these ads. And again, it's really a good way to supplement a social media strategy, because often companies want more website visitors. They want more traffic to their websites, and they might not feel like they're getting enough of that. And so these ads are a simple and straightforward way to do that. And then I wanted to provide an example of just how social media does not just exist in a social media bubble. And it was one of our success stories from earlier this year for Build with Strength. And so a reporter for Bloomberg in January reached out to us wanting to include the perspective of the concrete industry in an article that he was writing on mass timber. And he wanted to make sure that the voice of the industry was included in his reporting, that concrete had a seat at the table for this discussion. And so he knew already about NRMCA and about Build with Strength, partly through our consistent social media posting. He was aware that we had already been posting on social media, and so he was made aware of that and reached out, and not only was NRMCA's quote included in the article, one of the tweets from Build with Strength was embedded in the article itself, which was just another really great way to ensure that the voice of the industry was included in a prestigious publication in front of these key audiences who are so important to the sale and the use and the perception of concrete going forward. And so it really just went to show us how it's a joint effort between social media, also some of our PR efforts, and brand building largely can just really come together and bring more visibility and more attention to the industry, and can really give concrete as a material and as an industry a seat at the table, where sometimes there always has not been one. And so it was great to see that happen and just know that we had reached somebody from our key audience and that he was made aware of us, that he wanted to make sure that the voice of the industry was included. And then finally, I want to really just suggest to everybody to join the social media task force. It's a wonderful way of learning about how social media has changed over time, what your peers are doing to learn about social media and to post what has worked for them, what has not worked for them. If people have questions, it's a wonderful forum for getting answers, bouncing ideas off each other, and just a great opportunity to really enhance your marketing initiatives. And then finally, if you don't already, I really recommend that you follow Build with Strength on its social media channels. Again, we have so many educational resources. Again, our goal is really to educate these stakeholders. And so when you share our posts to your own channels, it's a way to just help us do that. And so it's a wonderful thing to do. And you can also visit our QR code that leads to our website as well, where we also have so many educational resources. So again, it's been wonderful talking to you all. If anybody has questions, let me know, and I'll also be around. So, thank you.
I have a question. Is it okay to ask it now?
Absolutely.
Okay. So this is a selfish question, really, for us. We haven't done as good of a job as we could in engaging with the Build with Strength campaign. We do it sporadically, kind of like when I remember that, oh crap, we haven't done it for a while. But I'm interested in getting some help from you and from the task force team in figuring out, as we're planning out our content calendar, when would be some good times to plug into a campaign where we can kind of pool our resources and share posts at the same time with the same hashtags and see if we can get some more traction. Maybe you're doing that already and I'm just not privy to it.
I would say, so how can we really join forces and help each other? Is that almost about it? I would say, first I would ask, if it's around specific events or times of year, just get in contact with us, and we can also definitely ahead of time plan if there are hashtags to use. If you say, we're going to be posting about this, this pour, this project, we're going to be posting about it around this time. That lets us know to just keep an eye out on it, and then we can share it. And same goes, we can let you know as well what we'll be posting in that, what might be good for you to
That's
repost.
What I'm really interested
Yeah.
in is like, when can we fit in on your calendar where you can reach out to us?
Yeah.
And we can all share a really consistent message around the same time about whatever the specific idea might be.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in that. We can follow
Absolutely.
up on that here.
I think that'd be great. We also we establish our content calendar. It's almost like every week, because things do tend to change, where there might be, a conference that we want to post about, or things, again, it does tend to change, the plans do, but I would say at the beginning of every week is a good time to share, like, this is what we're planning on posting. Do you see an opportunity here, to plug in? And that way there's a lot of transparency and consistency about, who is doing what. So yeah, absolutely. Any other questions from anybody? Yes, Shamim.
I'm not sure if this is really a question. It's a little bit of a question.
Yeah.
When you got to the slide about deliver your future, I
Mhm.
couldn't help but notice it seemed like you were, targeting a different audience than what we consider as like the male-dominated audience. Can you talk a little bit about how social media is kind of like a little bit of a game changer in reaching diverse audiences and women in particular?
Yes, especially, reaching women who want to become mixer drivers and want to be connected to the industry. How do we do that? I mean, one thing is just women are very active on social media. When we, even at DDC, for a lot of our clients, when we see who all is active on social media, for different clients, they do tend to skew slightly more female. So there are definitely the signs that more women are on social media than you might have thought. And so it is just one way to reach them, because it's not, they might not have the same, I'm trying to think of the word here, like the same connections already, especially if they are considering mixer driving as a career, and they might not have established the same connections. Social media is a really good way to help them establish that connection, where they might not yet have the interpersonal or professional connections as some of their peers. Yeah, absolutely.
We're all set.
Great.
Well, awesome job.
Thank you. Thank you.